Everybody, thank you so much for attending our webinar, Sharing Your Best Self on Camera, Virtual Coaching, Social Media, and Presentations featuring Brighton West. Brighton West is a videographer who specializes in helping professional coaches use online video in their practice. Brighton grew up with a 20-pound VHS camcorder and hasn't stopped making videos since. He's worked in narrative and documentary short films and web series. When he broke away to form his own business, he asked himself, who are the clients I want to spend my time working with? And he decided on coaches, which we're really lucky to have him today. So I'm your host, Andrea Camp, sales manager with coaching websites and therapy sites. We specialize in creating websites and online marketing solutions for coaches and mental health professionals. And I'd like to personally welcome each and every one of you to this free educational event. So during today's session, Brighton's going to ask some questions to all of you, and we'd love for you to participate. So if you want to take a minute to look at your GoToWebinar control panel, on there you'll see a questions tab. Feel free to use this tab to answer any questions, ask any of your own questions, and provide any comments along the way that you may have regarding the presentation. There's also a section called polls, and so I believe we may have a poll sometime through our presentation today. So that's all on that GoToWebinar control panel. After the webinar has been concluded, we do have a quick survey, and we would love to hear your feedback. So now that we've gotten all that taken care of, let's meet our presenter, Brighton West. Take it away, Brighton.
Great, thank you so much, and I'm excited to be here with all of you. I'm going to turn on my presentation now, so I'll be a little bit smaller in the corner, and you'll see my presentation. So there we go. That should be going up now. Okay, wonderful. Yep. So I am Brighton West, virtual videographer, and happy Sexto de Mayo. So I chose a Mexican-ish theme for many reasons. One of them being yesterday was Cinco de Mayo. Hopefully you guys, that we don't have anyone who's too hungover from having too many margaritas yesterday. But I'm going to introduce myself a little bit here. And while I'm doing my introduction, I want you guys to also do your introduction. Your introductions will be simpler, and that is just to type into the comments or question box where you're from. So where are you coming to this webinar from? So while I'm introducing myself. So as Andrew said, I am a virtual videographer, and I've been doing video for as long as I can remember. I've done documentary video, I've done short form video, short form narrative video, web series, and now I work mostly with coaches to help them with video for their websites or social media, things like that. Most common thing I do is help coaches with testimonial videos, so your clients saying amazing things about you. And also, I do live half time in Mexico, so I do feel this connection to Cinco de Mayo. Interestingly, a lot of Mexicans don't feel a big connection to Cinco de Mayo the way people in the United States do. So it's more of a north of the border celebration, and also in Puebla, which is just south of Mexico City, they celebrate there. So it's not Mexican Independence Day, it is the celebration of one battle that took place in Puebla. But now I'm wondering if we can, that's a little bit about me, but maybe we've already typed in, getting your fingers all warmed up, where you guys are from. So maybe you can start. Andrew, can you tell us a little bit about where folks are from?
Got some folks from New York, Texas, Florida, Pennsylvania, Arizona, and a couple of people from Illinois in the Chicagoland area by me.
Okay, wonderful. And I grew up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Yeah, we have another person that just chimed in, North Hollywood, California.
Okay, very good. So let me see here. I'm going to start out with a couple of definitions and to get us kicked off here. And one is a parasocial relationship. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of this, but this is something, a parasocial relationship is a one-way relationship, often with someone who is online. So I have a YouTube channel myself. One of my other hats is that I have a YouTube channel about moving to Mexico before you retire, called Almost Retired in Mexico. And I've got about 50,000 subscribers there. So I have a lot of parasocial relationships with those subscribers, is that they feel like I'm their best friend often because they see me so often. I upload twice a week. And but I don't know who they are. Also, you may, if you're an ICF coach, you may recognize me from some ICF videos. I've done videos on ethics and the core competencies. So that's a parasocial relationship. And of course, we have what's normal is the social relationship, which is a one-on-one or one-to-many or many-to-many relationship. And I want to talk about one parasocial relationship that I had an experience with recently. And that is with Shankar Vedantam from Hidden Brain. Now, Hidden Brain is a podcast, and also you can hear it on NPR, I think on most Saturdays. And it's a podcast about, neuro programming and psychology and things like that. So really great stuff. But he did a tour across the country, and I got to see him here in Portland, Oregon. I spend my winters in Mexico and my summers in Portland, and just last week I made that switch over. But he was here before I left for Mexico, and I got to see him. And all of his podcasts start with, "This is Hidden Brain, I'm Shankar Vedantam." And the way it started in the theaters, they dropped down the lights in the theater, and he said, "This is Hidden Brain." And as he said, "I'm Shankar Vedantam," the lights came on, and we got to see him for the first time because it's an audio podcast, and the crowd just went wild. And really, it was really this changing of a parasocial relationship to something that's still was a parasocial relationship, because it was him on stage and us kind of like feeling like we knew him, but we got to see him, and that shows the power of connection that comes with that visual. So even if we were just to see him for the first time, not on stage, not in person, we'd still have a similar type reaction. So seeing people's faces is very, very powerful. And he told great stories, and stories are wonderful for telling on video. And I'll talk more about that. And also, I'm going to give you one power tip. Before this is over, there's going to be a big power tip, and you're going to want to stick around for this one, coming from Hidden Brain, but it's something important that you should hear today. So let's go with that audience poll, and I hope this is a multiple choice poll. Andrea can pull it up, but essentially I want to know what social platforms that you've used this week. So, have you been on Facebook? Have you been on LinkedIn? Have you been on YouTube? And so just, if you can check multiple things, check multiple things. If not, check the thing that you've used most commonly this week. So Andrea, are we able to see what's showing up there?
Let's see. This is my first time, so I don't.
Okay.
Let's see. I'm trying to.
Well, while you're looking for that, I'm going to talk a little bit. I'm just going to continue on down.
Please do.
Get into that. So we're in a world where more and more connections are happening online. And video is the best tool for connecting online, which can be good or bad. But let me talk about my goals today. First one is to determine if online video is right for you. So if that's a place where you should be investing your time and energy in 2026. Also, I'm going to help you compose a professional looking video. And finally, to display confidence when you are on camera. So let's see if we've got poll results.
That I have not. So instead of doing the poll, we can certainly just add everybody to the questions tab. You can certainly throw in all of your answers there. And I believe your options that you wanted folks to potentially add into the questions section was, let me just pull it up. So the question, or the options were Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, WhatsApp, LinkedIn, and X. And I can throw those into the questions tab so that you guys know which options to choose from. So let me just throw that in.
Yeah, and you can abbreviate those if you want in the FB, LI,
sure.
YT, Insta. But essentially, I'm just wondering what people have used this week. So what are the most common platforms that people are on? And we'll get back to that a little bit.
Perfect.
Throughout the presentation. So let's talk about the current landscape of video use for coaches and consultants today. So brand visibility, and those are the things we just recently talked about, which is social media. Are you getting yourself out there on YouTube? Are you out there on TikTok or Instagram or LinkedIn? Are people seeing your brand on a regular basis? And especially, are they seeing your face on a regular basis? It just helps keep you top of mind. And even what I think is, even if people aren't watching the video, that you are, oh, looks like we got the platforms,
Yay!
the poll. Okay, so I'm not sure if you can choose more than one. Oh, select one of the following. So choose the one that's most commonly used. We'll make some assumptions based on that. But brand visibility, if you can get your face in front of people, even if it's just for that quarter second before they go on to the next post, you're just elevating yourself and you're making them remember you, so that they're like, oh yeah, I could use a coach, or I could use a therapist. I just having you be top of mind. That's what brand visibility does for you.
So some of the answers that came back was a resounding Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn are the most common answers that we got from our crew.
Okay, great. That's great. That's great for me to know, especially because obviously you folks are my target audience. Also for Andrea to know, because you are target audience for coaching websites. So it's good to know what platforms you are on. As I mentioned, we'll get back to that in a second. So other ways that coaches are using the coaches are using video is marketing and sales. So this could be intro videos on your website. So who are you? What are you, maybe on your about page or on your products page? What services do you provide for people? Webinars like this, video proposals. So if you're trying to convince someone to hire you for their services, video could be part of that. Testimonials, of course. And sales calls often are happening on camera. And then lastly, we have client delivery. So this could be just your average coaching call. Many of them now are happening online on Zoom or another platform. There's of course recorded trainings or video courses, or just trainings that are live. So there's a lot of different ways that coaches are using video these days. And of course, the big strength of video for coaches are, building the authenticity. It's kind of hard to fake. You can have AI go through and write a web page for you or something, but and I guess AI is getting a little better at pretending to be you, but it's not there yet. So it's very authentic when people see you on camera. Of course, building trust and your reach, just being able to put out there on your social media, putting a video out there and getting that broadcast to all of your audience, or whatever the algorithm selects as the portion of your audience that it's going to share with. Well, let's go through some common mistakes and challenges when using video. And I think we mentioned that questions are appreciated, so put those questions in the question box, and we will answer the questions at the end, unless it's something that's really pertinent. Andrea, please break in and let me know if there's something specific that we need answered right away. Okay, so poor video quality. This is a common mistake, and I'm going to go over a little bit of this, but your lighting is off, your sound is off. There's a puppy in the background, which I had just about 10 minutes ago. I had a puppy in my background and decided to take her downstairs, and so that you guys wouldn't be just watching a puppy the entire time. Talk about some other things in the background in a second. Overly scripted or robotic delivery. That is the easiest way to lose authenticity. And as I mentioned, video is a great tool for building authenticity. And this is one of those, potential, if you mess it up, you could lose authenticity if you try to read a script or something like that when you aren't well versed in reading a script. It is possible to read a script. We can talk about that if you guys have questions about that. Inconsistent posting. As I mentioned with my YouTube channel on Almost Retired in Mexico, I post twice a week. And this is something I don't do necessarily for my coaches and for my business, that side of my business. So a lot of these are best practices. They're not necessarily what I do, but they are what I should do and what you should do if you're going to get into video, is come up with a schedule and stick to it. And I'll suggest something later on in the presentation. Oops. Focus on selling instead of providing value. And this is probably the most common mistake that I see when people start out with video or start out with marketing in general, is they're talking about themselves, they're talking about their products, less so about providing value. And really, someone out there will provide everything that you provide for free over the internet. Anything that can be provided for free over the internet is going to be provided for free over the internet. So it's best if you're the one that provides the value for free. And the reality is people can only capture so much online, and then they need a one-on-one interaction. And coaching is something that you can't really provide online in this in a video format. Coaching is an interaction, and so you can teach people about ways of being. You can teach people about more consulting related type things, but then they feel comfortable with you. They feel that you're authentic. They know, like, and trust you, and you're the person that they're going to want to hire. But it is not a direct sales call in your videos. It is value that you're providing. And ignoring where your clients are. This gets back to what we talked about, that people responded Facebook overwhelmingly, some YouTube and LinkedIn. I'm not sure if we had anyone over on X that they chose as their top, or Instagram, things like that. But when you're deciding where to go with your content, is you need to look at where are you comfortable posting information, and where is your audience. So what is that overlap? That's where you should be. So I'm very comfortable with YouTube. I've been using YouTube since it started about 10 years ago, and I was making online videos before YouTube even existed. So I'm very comfortable there, and so I spend a lot of time there. I don't spend a lot of time on Facebook. I do post some videos on Facebook because I'm comfortable on Facebook, and my audience, certain segments of my audience are on Facebook. They're in Facebook groups specifically. So I do post some videos there, but I haven't really gotten into Instagram. I don't use it myself. I don't consume content on Instagram. And my audience is a little bit older too. They're kind of that getting close to retirement age. So that's not as necessary for me. And LinkedIn is not, for my business, for Brighton West Video, LinkedIn would be great for me, but I'm spending more of my time working on my YouTube channel about Mexico, and that is not a professional decision that people are doing. It's more of a personal decision. So if you are a life coach, something over on Facebook or Instagram might be a better match for you, versus if you're a business coach, a career coach, an executive coach, LinkedIn would be much better, because that's where people go and are expecting that kind of content that you might provide. Okay, so let's talk about improving your video strategy. One is to have a strategy, a content strategy. So define who your audience is. Who are you talking to? So often this is just one person. For any marketing exercise that you've gone through in the past, you've probably defined your ideal customer avatar. That exists for video too, is just to find the person that you are talking to. Share transformational stories, not just information. I shared a story about Chakra Vedantam earlier on. I'm also sharing a lot of information, but personal stories are things that people can kind of connect with. And when I do my video testimonials with your clients, I have them tell a story. I have them tell a transformational story. So this is a kind of behind the scenes part of video testimonials. I have them tell a hero's journey story. So what was life like before working with your coach? What was it like working with your coach or your guide in this journey? And then what was happily ever after? So this is a great way to share that kind of transformational journey. And it's really easy for future clients to consume that story. So if you want to collect your own video testimonials, I highly recommend that strategy of collect the hero's journey story, life before, during, and after working with your coach. So mixed formats. You don't have to do everything the same. So some short clips, some long form videos, live question and answer, testimonials. There are many different options out there. One thing to note, I mentioned long form videos, and a lot of people think, oh, I should only make stuff that's short. And especially on YouTube, YouTube really likes long videos. So I'm talking 20, 30-minute videos. People, there's this assumption, and I think that's what people want, is they want this short video. But then when they start watching, if you make a good video, they get tied in. They watch more ads throughout the video, and the longer they stay on YouTube, the happier YouTube is. The happier YouTube is, the more they share your content with more a larger and larger audience. And you want that organic growth to be able to grow your reach on something like YouTube. So there's a little tip there, is don't worry about how long your videos are, especially don't worry about how long they are when they're on the longer side. I have someone that is a friend of mine who does 3-hour-long live streams, and it works really well for their channel for growth. So I don't think I could speak for 3 hours. I'm having enough. We're 20 minutes in, and I'm already losing my voice, I think. So so mix up the formats. You don't only have to do one thing. And create a content calendar. So this is just something, you know, brainstorm your ideas ahead of time and then go through and say, okay, well, you know, next Monday I'm going to do this, and next Wednesday I'm going to do this. What I have is a content calendar that lists off all my videos that come out on Sundays. So I've got longer form videos that come out on Sundays. On Wednesdays, I have typically shorter form videos, things that are a little more last minute, things that are just kind of like happening right now. And so I know I'm going to post something on Wednesday, but I don't schedule those out. So that's kind of a hybrid content calendar, I guess. Okay, so continuing on how to improve video strategy, we're going to talk about the technical aspects now. Lighting. So you can see the lighting on me. I'm probably a tiny little postage stamp on your screen, but when we do question and answer, I'll pull that off the screen and you'll just see me. But you can see that the lighting is coming from in front of me, not from behind. There is some light behind me over here, but you can see that I'm properly exposed. And you can do all of the things that I'm talking about with things that you just have in your office or your house. So you don't need, I'm using a ring light. It's actually bouncing off the ceiling because of the way my setup is in my office, but you could use just a lamp. And just what I like to suggest to people is they put it not directly behind the camera, but a little bit off to the side, maybe 20 degrees off to the left or to the right. So what you should be seeing with me is the right-hand side of my face is a little bit brighter than the left-hand side of my face, and that creates a nice round look. If the light was directly behind the camera, it would get kind of flat. A lot of people who do makeup, things like that, they put the camera behind and they create that flat look, but it's because they want people to see exactly what it looks like with makeup. So often you buy a ring light and you put the camera right in the middle. I suggest not doing that. Put the ring light off to one side or the other, just a little bit off, 15 or 20 degrees off will create that nice three-dimensional look. Also soft light. So you don't want one little point of light. That's why ring lights exist, because they're able to spread the light out. It's kind of like the old school photography softbox. It would have a light inside that is just a pinpoint of light. And if it was just that pinpoint of light, it would cast really sharp shadows. a softbox would soften that, and then they came up with the ring light, which is very similar to a softbox, but it's got the light source is really wide, and that's the idea behind the ring light. Audio. You can use just your internal mic in your laptop, and that works. But one good first step up is to get like a podcaster's mic. I'm using a Blue Yeti mic today. In Mexico, I've got a Blue Yeti Ice, which is a smaller microphone, but works really well. It's a very simple microphone, and it's actually the one that I recommend to people because it doesn't have multiple settings. There's not little knobs to turn, but it's a Blue Yeti Ice, I think is what it's called, or a Snowball. But it's a very simple microphone, and it works really pretty well. You could also do a lapel mic. That's another good option. But one key thing here is to don't let gear hold you back. Use what you have to get started and then improve as you go. Your background, it should be clean, it should be professional. Maybe you've got a branded touch or something like that. So if you've got your logo, go ahead and put that behind you. If you are, what I say is what is behind you and what you're wearing either leads to more credibility or distracts from your credibility. So I've got some books behind me over here. I made sure there were no big headlines there that would be distracting. If people see text behind you or on your shirt, they will be distracted by it. It's just the way our brains work. This isn't the Chakra Vedantam tip about how our brains work, but we just like to read text, and we kind of can't not read it if we see it. So if it is something that is behind you, that is text, make sure that it is appropriate. I had one person, I was interviewing them, and they had kind of some politically motivated text behind them. And I had to have that conversation with them that it was best not to have that because it was going to distract people, and because it was politically on one side or the other of the political spectrum, they were going to alienate some people, and depending on what your situation is, you may or may not want to do that, but watch that text behind you. Also, what you wear, if you're an executive coach, you probably should be wearing something that's a little more formal than what I'm wearing. Maybe if you're a life coach, this would be just fine. If you're a fitness coach, you might want something, you might want to be doing things, making your videos in a gym, wearing more workout gear or something like that. So just think about what adds to or distracts from your credibility in your niche. Okay, let's get that back there. Framing. So what I suggest here is a head and shoulders shot is the most common shot that people see on camera. And so you want your head and you want your shoulders. You want a little tiny bit of space above your head and a good deal of space below your chin. This is called the rule of thirds. If you divide your screen into thirds, your eyes should be along that line or just above the line of between the top third and the second third. But the easy way to think of that is a little bit of space above your head, a lot of space below your chin. As for to the left and the right, that is up to you if you want to be on the left-hand side of the frame or the right-hand side of the frame or the center of the frame. That's a little less important, but definitely you want to have not a whole bunch of space above your head. That's a very common mistake people make. Eye contact. This is a huge mistake that people make, and coaches make this one. There's one thing to take away from this presentation. It is about making eye contact. So as human beings, we are really good at knowing when someone's not making eye contact. Someone can just be looking like at our nose instead of our eyes, and we can tell. So on a video, perhaps we've started to get used to people not making eye contact because it's so common for people to be looking down at their screen. And there are some technical advancements that are working on, adjusting your eyes, which can look good or can look bad. But really, if you can look into the camera lens or very close to the camera lens instead of down at the person on your screen, that will make the other person feel like you're connecting with them. It'll feel a little bit strange to you, especially when you begin. Like right now, I'm looking at my my camera lenses, but I'm really used to doing that. When you first start out, it's a little strange, and I'm going to give you a tool suggestion to make it really easy to look people in the eye, especially on video calls, less so when you're recording. But when you're recording, look at the camera. That is what makes eye connection with the person who's watching. And the camera position. This is another one that's very common, especially if you're working on a laptop. It's very common that you leave your laptop on your desk where it's comfortable to type, and that means that the camera is below your eye line, to often below your nose, and it's looking up at you, it's looking up your nose, you're looking down at the person on the other side, and that's not a relationship that we want with our coaching clients, is to have this kind of looking down on them feeling on the other side. And these things are all very subtle. So when you start using these tips, you'll start making better connections with the people on the other side. They might not understand exactly what has changed, but they're going to see that there is more connection that they feel with you. So do these things, you'll get that connection, but it's hard for someone who hasn't been trained about this stuff, who hasn't been to a webinar like this, to understand, why is it that I don't feel connection with someone? Why is it that I feel like they're talking down at me? Things like that. So camera position, have that camera at about your eye level. That's ideal. Now I've got some samples here. So the first one is the perfect sample. So this person is looking directly at the camera. They've got a little bit of space above their head, a lot of space below their chin, and the camera is right at their eye level, not looking down or looking up at them. Here's an example of looking to the side. So often what people will do is they'll be looking down, they'll be looking below. It feels to the other person like you're looking at their chin, maybe you're looking at their chest. It doesn't feel, you don't feel the connection. People understand, they're like, yep, that's the way computers work, but they don't feel the connection. So if you can avoid that, that's great. Also, showing too much of your body. So being really far back from the camera, showing your legs, your feet, things like that. Often people are watching video on an iPhone or something like that. So you want to have just the head and shoulders. That is the ideal shot. And it's actually, if you hold your phone and you take a selfie of yourself, that's the shot you want. So the people who designed the selfie camera knew exactly what we liked, and it is that distance away from the camera, arm's length. Now here is an example of background distraction. So especially if you've got something that looks like a halo, you don't want it directly behind you, directly behind your head. So be thinking about what is behind you and how that is interacting with you. Or you don't want it to be a square thing that looks like a mugshot or something. So if you had a mirror in the background, it's not a bad thing to have a mirror and a plant in the background. You just need to be off-centered so you don't have this look of you've got a halo. Here's an example of being too low in the frame. So this feels strange to people. If you've got more, an equal amount of space above your head as below your chin, filmmakers will use this to imply that something bad is coming from above. So this is a filmmaking technique. If you see, like in a horror movie or something, if the person is running across the frame to the right and there's a big space to the left, you know that the bad guy is in that space to the left. He's just beyond the screen. So you want to have this, I mentioned the rule of thirds, the little bit of space above your head, a lot of space below your chin. That's what looks natural. Plants coming out of your head. This is another common mistake that people make. Really bad lighting. So make sure that the light is in front of you, shining on your face, not coming from behind or below. Just kind of being disorganized and not feeling confident on camera. Having something loud in the background, you want to get to a space that is the most controlled audio space that you can find. Looking down, this is less common, but as is having the camera look up at you, where you're looking down on the person on the other end. And just being an angry person on camera, you want to come across in a friendly manner. So back to the ideal situation here. And I mentioned that I was going to give you a tip on a product that you can use. And I think that every single coach should own this camera. I have tried every single piece, every device out there to see how to solve the problem of being able to look the other person in the eye, to be able to watch them on your screen, to be able to see their reaction to what you're saying, and to also look at the camera at the exact same moment. This is the best thing that I have found. It's called the Eye Contact Pro. You can find it at Best Buy. You can find it on Amazon. It is expensive for a webcam. I want to say it's about $160 to $180. I am not getting paid by this company, but I have tried teleprompters. I've tried all sorts of devices that do this. There's also the Eye Contact Not Pro, which is just the arm that comes down your screen. That's possible to use that too. The problem I've had with that is I lost it immediately. It was just too small. So this Eye Contact Pro mounts to the top of your monitor, and then you flip down the arm with the camera on it, and you put that in the middle of someone's forehead. It's just a tiny bit distracting, not too bad at all. And that way you can look them in the eye naturally on your screen, and to them it will look like you're looking them in the eye. And when you have a conversation with two people who are using this, it really is kind of a magical thing because you feel like you really are there in the room with them. But what's most important for you is that your client feels that way. So using a tool like this, I highly recommend it. It's not the most high quality webcam. I'm using my iPhone right now, and so I'm getting a really crisp image. I'm using my iPhone as a webcam. This camera here is really great for coaching calls, but I wouldn't use it necessarily for recording video that you're going to post to YouTube or something like that. But it's great for the coaching calls. Okay, how to improve video strategies. So speak as if delivery and presence. Sorry, speak to one person who is your ideal client. You don't need to be saying you guys, things like that. You all speak to one person. Keep the energy high but authentic, especially if you're using a teleprompter. If you're reading the text across the screen, that takes down your energy. The camera takes down your energy. You got to bump your energy up a little bit to appear natural. Use stories and examples over theory. Tools and resources. So recording tools, Zoom is an option. It's often the first thing that people use. It's not the best option. The quality from the camera, the compression and whatnot is not the best option. Riverside and StreamYard. Riverside for recordings, StreamYard for live. They both do a really great job with getting that higher quality video going. Veed is a great tool for doing editing. There's one more, and I can't remember the name of it right now offhand. Descript is the name of another one that is very, very good. You can do your recording there and do all of your editing online. You don't need something like Final Cut Pro. Of course, your smartphone, I'm using it connected to my MacBook Pro and using it as my webcam, but you could use this just to record just into your smartphone directly. And I already showed you the Eye Contact Pro camera. Okay, editing tools, Descript and Veed. There's Descript. Analytics, I'm an analytics junkie. YouTube Studio has great analytics. They will tell you everything about who's watching your videos and how long they're watching and when they're, going back and watching something over, how they found your videos, amazing stuff, social media insights. There's a lot of information that you can get there when you're posting video out to the world. And of course, you could get your website analytics too. So Getting into action steps. So this is what you're going to do this week. You're going to start by starting small, 1 tip video per week. And you know, when I've done a presentation like this before and I suggested this, I had the reaction of, oh my God, 1 a week, that's a lot of work. It doesn't need to be a lot of work. It can be a simple thing. It can be simple as recording it in Zoom, and it can be as simple as a 30-second video. It doesn't need to be edited. Just start out, record something, and post it to your social media, post it to your Facebook, something like that. So you don't need to start a YouTube channel and start with a 20-minute video that's highly edited. What I'm asking you to do is start to get confident on camera. The first time I recorded a video of myself was for a Kickstarter campaign for a project that I was doing, a video project that I was doing. It took me about 4 hours to do a 30-second video because I was so self-conscious, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. And the only thing that got that video done was I was shooting it outside and the sun was starting to set. And I just got to the point where I needed to complete the video. So I totally get it. It's not easy, but if you start in a very safe space like your personal Facebook page, you can start posting information, posting tips, and then build from there, and then move over to Instagram, move over to YouTube, move into Facebook groups, things like that, move on to LinkedIn. Focus on quality audio, lighting, and framing. So some of those things that I talked about, think about those things before you start and while you're going. Build consistency, commit to a schedule, and always lead with value, not with a sales pitch. We're going to do a quick exercise here. I don't know if you guys can see yourselves on your screen. So I thought about this as being in Zoom, but generally, maybe you could do this. You can do this now if this is something that is possible, if you can see yourself on your screen, but I want you to self-evaluate. Are you making eye contact when you're talking? Or when you're listening, I guess in this case, what does the framing look like? Is your camera framed up so that you've got a little bit of space above your head and a lot of space below your chin? Are there distractions in your audio or video? Is your audio clear? Is your camera at eye level, or is it below, or is it significantly above? And is your lighting coming from in front of you? So this is something the next time you get on a call, because I'm thinking that you probably can't see yourself on screen, just jot these down real quick and then evaluate those things and say, am I looking good on camera? What 1 or 2 things can I change right now to be able to improve my on-screen visuals or your on-screen presence? Okay, so I want to just do a quick recap here. We've got about 15 minutes left and a few things to cover yet. So video builds trust, authority, visibility, scalability. These are all things that coaches need. Also things, I guess, because we're doing this with coaching websites, these are things that are definitely on your mind, also things that show up by building a website. And I wanted to give you that bonus tip. So this is something I learned from Chakravartinam, and it's something called the liking gap. And the liking gap, kind of like, push like on Facebook. The liking gap is that people, all of us individually, feel that other people don't like us as much as they actually do. So when you put yourself on camera, people will like you more than you expect. It's something that I was struggling with when I first put myself on camera, when I was doing that Kickstarter video, and it took until sunset to do it. I didn't realize that putting myself out there, I thought that people wouldn't like me, and I wanted to get it perfect so that they would like me. But people like other people more than you expect. So just know that when you're doing this, when you're doing your coaching, when you're going about your day, is that people like you more than you expect. It's just, it's a human characteristic. The liking gap is what it's called. You can look that up online. So that's your bonus tip that should make you feel great about yourself all day long. Takeaways. I want to do some takeaways. Typically what I do is I have people comment about their, what's their biggest takeaway, but I'm sure we've got some question and answer, and we've got some other things to cover too. So we'll see if we can fit in takeaways. But we also have some other screens here to cover about coaching websites. So I'm going to invite Andrea to come back on and chat with us.
Thank you so much. It was a really great presentation. It's really neat to hear some of these interesting, feedback and just perspective. So thank you so much, Brighton. It was a really great presentation. You shared a ton of valuable information about just video in general and how practices can get more visibility online. So thank you. I appreciate it. I took a bunch of notes. At Coaching Websites, we work with coaches to help them create a professional looking website and to ensure that they can be found online where and when their clients are searching in order to really help them increase new client acquisition. We encourage the practices we work with to build a website that's a reflection of themselves, but also to help them create a marketing strategy that allows them to achieve their goals. Our solutions make it easy to schedule appointments online, create a network of referrals via social media, and even increase visibility online for the most profitable services offered at the practice. As a special thank you for being here today, we are extending a special webinar offer to all the folks that attended to get a brand new, beautiful website design for just $99. If you'd like to learn more about coaching websites and see how we can help attract more new clients to your practice, feel free to send us a quick email at sales@coachingwebsites.com or call us at 877-774-2617. We'd love to hear your feedback about our event today via our post-webinar survey that we'll be sending out as well. We really appreciate you taking the time to participate in our event today. And we did have a bunch of questions coming in. So Brighton, are you ready to start diving into those questions?
Yeah, real quick here, I just want to mention that we do have on the screen your $99 offer for a new website. Also, I'm going to give people $100 off a 3-video testimonial package. If you've got clients that say wonderful things about you and you'd like to get those clients on camera, normally I charge $6.99 for three of those clients. Just send me an email, and I don't have anything special on my website that allows a coupon code or anything like that. Send me an email and I'll get you set up with a better price. But yeah, let's go ahead. I'm going to actually put myself on screen, unless people have questions that I have to put the slides back on screen. But let's go ahead and do 12 minutes of questions.
Awesome. So there was a few questions that came in regards to, is there a suggested video length by the platform? So meaning, like, I think you mentioned like LinkedIn being specifically a great place for, executive types of coaches. Is there like a standard that Facebook should be a minute and LinkedIn should be 20 minutes? Is there something that maybe you work within?
Yeah, I think that YouTube is the longest one because people are going there to watch videos. Facebook and LinkedIn, I'm thinking a good number is maybe 1 minute to 3 minutes, because people are going there not necessarily to watch videos. Videos are part of the platform, but they're not necessarily there to just consume video content. Instagram is pretty short. 1 or 2 minutes, I think, is effective there. Also, when you are on these other platforms, like especially Instagram and LinkedIn, putting the text on screen is ideal. Something like Veed or Descript will allow you to burn in the subtitles so that the text is there visible on screen at all times.
Okay. And I'm assuming X and TikTok are fairly short too?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. All right. And then you mentioned like Facebook and YouTube being, probably a good place for life coaches. Do you have other suggestions depending upon the type of coach that our viewers are?
Yeah, I think really, one good way is to kind of ask your subscribers or your current clients where they are. Instagram is great for younger audiences. Facebook is great for older audiences. The younger audience, I think, are not as much on Facebook. Facebook groups are amazing, by the way. LinkedIn, of course, for business audiences. TikTok for the younger generation.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Do you have suggestions for, you had mentioned like microphone and ring light. Do you have any suggestions on where folks might be able to purchase some of those things, or could they just use their iPhone?
So really for microphone, I mean, the iPhone has a great built-in microphone and Androids today too. So
Okay.
that's less necessary,
Okay.
but compared to the built-in microphone in your computer, you can get everything on Amazon, or I mean,
Okay.
that seems to be the easiest place to get things. With a ring light, I would say get one that's at least 10 inches wide. The really
Okay.
tiny ones kind of act a little bit more like pinpoint sources of light. So the
Okay.
bigger the better.
Okay, 10 inches. Okay, good suggestion. A lot of questions came in because you mentioned teleprompter, and I was thinking this about myself as well. As so these videos, you obviously want to share valuable information, and you want to talk about the value of, of something, and speak to your ideal client, and I think those were all really great suggestions. But everybody's like, how do I read my script? How do I get a teleprompter? How do I not look down at my computer?
Yeah, well, a couple of things there. One is when you're doing a presentation like I did today, I'm pretty small and you probably couldn't see where my eyes were, even though I'm looking at the camera because I'm so used to it.
Yeah.
I could have been reading a script or something and you probably wouldn't have told. So if you're filling up the screen with a presentation and you've got yourself just pretty small,
Okay.
don't worry about having a teleprompter.
Good point.
And
Good point.
there are a number of teleprompters out there. Also, if you use the software Veed, and this is something that I do often, is I will read a script, often just off a piece of paper below my camera.
Yep.
Like if I'm doing like a sponsored segment and I've got to get the text exactly right,
Yep.
and then I'll use the software Veed, upload it into Veed, and then they have all these AI functions. One of them is correcting your eyes. So my eyes are moving back and forth, moving back and forth, moving back and forth, and then I just do this little check the box for eye contact, and my eyes are looking directly at the camera. That,
Okay.
of course, is only for recorded video. It's not for live video, but
Okay.
that's a great option too. And I've got on my website, I've got lots of reviews of different teleprompters because I was using that to try to do that eye contact correction thing before these other options became available.
Yeah, I know I'm totally guilty of it. I want to, get all the right things and the right offer and different things. And so I know I'm guilty of it. Let me just look at my notes really fast.
And looking down at notes isn't such a bad thing. People expect it.
Right. Yeah. No, that's a good point. Let me look and see if there was anything else. So you mentioned at the very, very beginning of the presentation, video testimonials. How do you get clients to actually be willing to do it? Because everybody's very shy.
So yeah, I totally
Are we
agree.
bribing them? Are we promising them free coffee for life?
Some people have tried that, but what I've found is the way I do it with my clients, I have two templates that I give them via email. And the first one is to ask them if they'll do it. So are you willing to give me a video testimonial? We've had such great results, specifically back X, Y, and Z. And so the idea is that first email gets them to yes, I will help you. And then the second one actually provides the details of like, okay, now meet Brighton, and he's going to schedule this. You're going to go onto his calendar and do all these things and watch a little prep video and things like that. So breaking it up into two pieces to see, if you can get them to yes, and then you can get them past the technical hurdles.
Right. Perfect. Other question that came in was you talked a lot about calendar and schedules. How do you go about creating that schedule? And I think you said like just one tip a week to start. But is there like a specific level of activity that is kind of suggested today?
Well, I think it all depends on what software or what platform you're on.
Okay.
What I like to do with YouTube is to do that 2 things a week because then something is always new. Then something new lasts a couple of days, like 3 days or so.
Okay.
With something like Instagram, you can post a lot more often. And people kind of expect that, or with Facebook Reels and things like that. So it all depends on the platform, what is the right cadence to use. But I think starting with 1 time a week, it's starting to get you out there.
Yeah.
So you can go up from there.
Okay. All right. Let me see if there was anything else that came in. Just look. I think you covered most of it. I was trying to stick along, but I feel like that was most of the questions that came in. A lot of thank yous.
Awesome.
A lot of, this is a really like scary topic. A lot of folks, were like, okay, I've really got to talk myself into this. So I think the topic was interesting, especially nowadays, right? With so much of ChatGPT and Copilot and Gemini and, more and more videos online. So I think it was certainly, a viable topic, but a lot of people are scared to do it.
Yeah, well, remember that liking gap, that people like you more than you think, and getting out there and even like making mistakes. It creates more authenticity and more connection. I actually have a video coming out this Sunday, and the guy that I was videotaping, he's like, this is my hammock, and he gets into his hammock and immediately falls out of his hammock. And I asked him right away, I'm like, can I leave that in? And he's like, yes. So it's like the little silly things that happen. You know, if my puppy were in the background, that would just create more connection between us.
Right.
So don't worry, things are going to be better than you expect.
Right. And I liked the idea. You had mentioned a couple, I think you said you called it mixed formats. And I liked that idea because it doesn't always have to be a long video or a short video. You could really change that up, and something might be a tip of the week or a question answer or a testimonial. And you don't want the content to get stale or boring, right? So I think coming in different formats, I think, is also super helpful. So
yeah, and if you are on YouTube, actually, one tip is to use posts, which are non-video. So the best one is to use a poll. So kind of poll your audience. If you've got an audience over on YouTube, you have to have a little bit of an audience before these will start to work. But there are options on YouTube that don't involve video.
Okay. And you mentioned audience. So how do you grow that audience? So let's just say I have a YouTube channel or I have a Facebook page for my, practice or organization. How do you grow that then so that your video gets out to more people?
So first I would say, especially YouTube is the one I'm most aware of, I guess. And that is just to let YouTube do it. Just post your content and don't try to share it. Maybe share it with your existing audience. But don't share it with your mom or your kids or something like that, because, if your kids, if you're like, assign your kids the task of watching all of your videos, then YouTube's going to think that, 12-year-old girls are your target audience, and no other 12-year-old girl is going to watch your video.
Right.
Same with your mom. So just let it happen organically. That seems to be the best. If you are going to share it with your existing audience.
Okay, that's a good point. Good point. Awesome. Any final words from you before we close up for today?
No, I'm just going to pop back on screen the contact information. If folks want to reach out to either one of us, they can use that. So it was really great being here, and I hope folks got what they needed to get themselves out on camera or to improve a little bit how they're showing up on camera, because I'm sure everyone is showing up on video calls these days. Hopefully they're getting just a little bit better after this.
Perfect. Again, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day, and for all of our attendees, thank you for taking the time out of your day to join us today. I appreciate it. What a really great presentation. Again, thank you, Brighton. Have a great rest of the afternoon, and if you guys need anything, obviously you've got our contact information, so feel free to reach out. Thanks so much. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.